The following is a special presentation of the First Horizon Green Sports Zone. This is the Pizza Inn Eddie Spradlen Show.
Welcome back to First Horizon's Green Sports Zone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Pizza Inn Eddie Spradlen Show, where we cover everything inside of beautiful Burley Stadium. With the Greeneville football team, we'll recap this past week's 70-13 win over Granger here at home, and we'll preview this week's big-time matchup with Elizabethton with the Region 1 4A championship on the line. But first, as always, we need to get a quick billboard spot in first, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages here on First Horizon's Green Sports Zone.
The Pizza Inn Eddie Spradlen Show is brought to you by Gateway Ford Nissan, Tommy's Plumbing, by Pizza Inn, and by First Horizon Bank.
Here's a twist on your typical banking options. What if instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you had one bank that's the best of both? That's First Horizon. Big bank muscle with small bank hustle. Big bank convenience and small bank connection. When the best of big meets the best of small, you get it all. To help you on the road to your horizon. First Horizon Bank.
Welcome back to First Horizon's Green Sports Zone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Pizza Inn Eddie Spradlen Show, where we cover everything inside of beautiful Burley Stadium with the Greeneville football team. As always, joined here with Greeneville head coach Eddie Spradlen. We're inside today.
Yeah, it's a little rainy outside.
A little wet outside. You joked and asked if I wanted to go to the 50-yard line. I don't think we want to today. We can. Yeah. We both got jackets, but I don't know about the equipment out there. But it's always nice to be inside. I think we come in here about once a year and show off the nice media room here. We've got 3 huge TVs behind us, a lot of nice seats in here. I know you spoke about the media room before, but a lot of hard work goes on in this room.
Yeah, you know, we do a lot of team meetings in here, and then obviously we were watching film in here every day as a team or position group. Coaches meet in here on Sunday morning, so it's really used a lot. Plus, we've got a nutrition room set up over here that is used every morning. Coach Barefield's here at 7:15 every morning. The players can come in here and get some breakfast and stuff before the day starts.
Absolutely. It's always nice to have something like that around a football program, and it helps produce the amount of points and yardage that you were able to get on Friday night with a big win over Granger. 70-13, 438 total yards. You had a touchdown, I think, every category: special teams, defense, and offense, rushing, passing. Had, I think, maybe a Greeneville record that we'll talk about here in a minute also, but it was Military Appreciation Night. We had hyped it up. You had a great flyover, a great rendition of the national anthem from Kimberly Perry. How great was Friday night in total?
Yeah, it was really special. You know, we honored a lot of people, had the honor guard here as well. And you know, one of the special things, we were able to do a special uniform for Military Night that honored all the different branches of the military. You know, the kids warmed up in their regular uniforms, and then they come in there and those were in their locker. So it was really special. Kids were excited. Hats off to the Booster Club. Really, Brett Smith did a great job getting all this playing together. So really appreciate all that they did for us.
And with a big 70-13 win too, we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the stat sheet. First thing I want to talk about, as I kind of mentioned, is you may have a Greeneville record. We may have to go back and find it, but you had 4 different quarterbacks touch the field, and all 4 quarterbacks threw touchdown passes. So you had 6 total touchdown passes from 4 different quarterbacks. Caden Ball, of course, the starter, 5 for 6, 190 yards passing with 3 touchdowns. You had Parker Quillen step in there, a perfect 4-4 with 44 yards and a touchdown pass. Kane Ricker and Case Spradlen stepped in the second half and had touchdown passes also. It's pretty special when you could throw in all 4 quarterbacks and they get touchdowns. How special was it for you?
You know, it was big. You know, we're going to give those kids the opportunity to play just like everybody else. They work as hard as it. We're not just going to come in the game and, you know, we got our backups in, but we're not just going to let them just hand it off. And, you know, they deserve to get to play too. So we got in there, let them throw the football around a little, just to see what they could do with it. And as a result, they got in the end zone a couple times.
And going through those touchdowns also, you have 6 passing touchdowns, which means you had 6 receiving touchdowns. Zayden Anderson had the most yards on the night. He had 2 catches for 116 yards, and both of those catches went for touchdowns. And then you got Colton Smith, Zy Neal, Cole Franklin, and Lucrease Parkey in the end zone. Some new names on there and some names that we've mentioned before but don't get in the end zone a lot. So talk about how nice it was to kind of get some fresh faces into the end zone.
You know, first off, getting Colton in there is good. You know, he's catching the football really good for us right now, and his blockings continue to get better. You know, he's a force for us and what we can do. Like we talked about it, a little different aspect of our offense. We, you know, early in the season, we're a lot of 4 wide all the time with different formations, but now you're able to play a little 10 personnel and get him in there. You know, 11 personnel to get that tight end in there. And so we're excited where we're at with that. And, you know, he brings a lot to our offense. But get a lot of those guys in there. You know, Lucrease is a senior, is well-deserving to get in the end zone. He goes up and makes a really good play on a good ball. You know, Parker threw a great ball up there in the end zone. He goes up and makes a great play. And, you know, then you get, you know, Zy Neal in there, a kid that is going to be a special player as a freshman. But, you know, getting some different guys in the end zone is really nice.
And then touching back on Zayden Anderson a little bit, we talked about his receiving stats, but he had a great night in other areas too. He had a punt return touchdown on, I think, their second possession, and he didn't stop there. He went all the way in the end zone. I don't know if Granger really knew how fast he was, because I seen the punt return touchdown, and it wasn't sideline, it was up the middle of the field, weaving in and out of his blockers, and I don't know if he even got touched the whole time.
Yeah, you know, a really good job by, you know, our punt return team, and, you know, we're putting a lot of emphasis on that. You got a special guy like that, and we take that. That's our first offensive play of the series, so got to set our offense up for the best field position. Had another one called back by there's really good blocking on the edge and kind of blocked somebody out of bounds, and they threw a penalty, but you know, another punt return to call back. But you know, I was aggravating those offensive coaches. They just standing there watching, not doing nothing on Friday night. But you know, we get in the end zone 2 different ways. And then we got 2 one-play series to start us off on offense. So really excited about how hard those kids played on Friday night.
Yeah, the offensive coaches really didn't have anything to do for the first quarter, because like you said, like we talked about before this, you're up 14-0 before the offense even steps out onto the field. And then the first 2 plays they do step out onto the field, it results in a touchdown. So you were up 28-0 on Friday night with only 2 offensive plays. That's a rarity.
Yeah, that, you know, just hats off to how hard we're playing defensively. You know, we start the game off. Teagan makes a big-time hit on the quarterback, and he fumbles the ball. Jude Dyer scoops and scores, gets in the end zone, come back, play through, and you go 3 and out again, and you get a punt return for a touchdown. We stop them again, 1 play, Zayden in the end zone on a nice long pass, and then we had another punt return that's called back, but then as a result, 1 play, Maddox Bishop goes 80 yards for a touchdown on a nice run.
Yeah, and speaking of Maddox right there, I was going into the rushing department next. You only had 134 rushing yards on the entire night, 304 passing to go with that 438 total yardage mark, and Maddox gets that one to put you up 28-0, and then you mentioned Teagan gets the forced fumble, and he gets in the end zone again with another rushing touchdown. So a little light in the rushing department this week, not what we're used to seeing, but when the passing department's working so well, I guess you don't need to run it as much, but you got Maddox and Teagan into the end zone to go with all the receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, you know, there's only 10 plays in the first half.
That's right.
So there's probably 3 rushes in that first half. So, and 2 of them were touchdowns. But you know, excited about that offense, how well they did, and you know, we let those guys, you know, those younger guys get in there, and we let them play. But you know, throwing the football, running it, whatever it is, we're going to let them play, and you know, as a result, we're able to put some more points up on the board.
And then when you talk about a 70-13 win, you've got to talk about the offense first because of how much they put up. But it was a great night defensively also. You only allowed 189 yards throughout the whole entire night, and that was with some of the reserves in also. And you didn't force as many turnovers as you would expect in that big of a win, but the turnovers you did force were huge. We talked about the forced fumble by Teagan that was picked up by Jude and returned into the end zone on the first play. But you also had Kane Ricker that got in there and had an interception to go with his passing touchdown. A lot of great players on the defensive line and in the linebacking core. Talk about the defensive effort as a whole.
You know, I was really proud of how hard those guys played. You know, we challenged them 4 quarters. relentless effort on Friday night, no matter who was in the game. And, we got I think the starting D-line maybe played one series, then we got them out. We started rotating a lot of guys, and some of them may have played that second series. But after that, we just said, all right, we're going to let these young guys play, or not, some of them not young guys, just backups on that D-line to get them some more work, because they got to continue to help us down the road for us to continue to be successful. So, Napoleon Pacheco and Alex Duckett did a great job in there. Coleman Kinney did a really good job in there. Caden Jordan is another kid came in there and played. Caden Burbank's another guy that got some reps in there. So really proud of those guys getting in there, getting some reps, continuing to make us better defensively.
The starters didn't stay long on Friday night, but I can guarantee you they'll be in there a lot this coming Friday night. It's time. Sure. It's the big time matchup. It's Elizabethton. It's for the Region 1 4A championship. It's what you worked for the whole entire season, and it's finally here on Thursday night this year. We'll talk about it in just a minute, though, so stick with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll talk about that big time matchup on Friday night here at home at Burley Stadium with the Elizabethton Cyclones. So we'll be right back in just a minute here on First Horizon's Green Sports Zone.
Here's a twist on your typical banking options. What if, instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you had one bank that's the best of both? That's First Horizon. Big bank muscle with small bank hustle. Big bank convenience and small bank connection. When the best of big meets the best of small, you get it all. To help you on the road to your horizon. First Horizon Bank.
Pizza Inn presents I Ate at Pizza Inn. I ate pizza at Pizza Inn. I ate a salad at Pizza Inn.
I ate pizza!
I ate it all.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I'm inviting you to come and enjoy Greeneville's favorite hometown pizza, pasta, salad, and dessert buffet for just $8 all day, Monday through Friday. And then you can say,
we all ate at Pizza Inn.
Tommy's Plumbing has been in business for 30 years, and we're still growing because we treat our customers like family. We are proud to do any job from kitchen faucet installation to a complete home repipe. Tommy's Plumbing offers warranties on most products installed by our technicians. When the job is done, our friendly professionals make sure to clean up. We invite you to visit our new showroom in Jonesboro to see our quality products for yourself. Tommy's is the only one to call when you need a fast, reliable, professional plumber in the Tri-Cities.
At many dealerships, you get what you'd expect. Games, gimmicks, and shady sales tactics. At Gateway Nissan in Greeneville, expect the unexpected. Low prices, convenient service, and a great buying experience.
Get our Gateway exclusive lifetime powertrain warranty.
No worries for life.
You deserve the unexpected. It's the #1 reason you gotta get to Gateway.
Shop online at gatewaynissangreeneville.com.
Or take the super short drive down Highway 11E to Gateway Nissan in Greeneville.
Welcome back to First Horizon's Green Sports Zone, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Pizza and Eddie Spradlen Show, where we cover everything on the turf inside of Burley Stadium with the Greeneville Green Devils. As always, I'm joined here with Green Devil head coach Eddie Spradlen. So it's time. We lead up to this game the whole entire season since the TSSAA started setting the region schedules 3 years ago. It's been the Week 11 matchup, and it's been for the Region 1 4A championship for even more years than that. And it's once again for the Region 1 4A championship this year. It's Greeneville, it's Elizabethton on a special Thursday night this week on a short week. Talk to me about it.
It's like you said, it's a big time game. It's for all the, say all the marbles.
Yeah.
It's for them maybe. But we set our goals at the start of the year as a football team. We're not in here saying goal #1 is a state championship. That's not what we try to reach every, our main goal. Our main goal right now to set us up for the best road in the playoffs has been the whole year, is to have an opportunity to play for a Region 1 4A championship, and that's what we got on Thursday night. Everything we've wanted is right here, and we've got to come play our best football team against a really good football team. 2 9-1 team or 8-1 teams getting after each other. So, like we talked about last week, I think a little bit, you can throw records out the window.
Yeah.
And, it comes down. It's going to be a hard-nosed football game. 2 good teams just getting after it, and it's going to be a four-quarter game, and we'll see how it ends. After those 4 quarters, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, and as good as both teams are, it might take more than 4 quarters to decide the winner of this one on Friday night. But speak about Elizabethton a little bit. I know that looking at their record, like you said, both teams are 8-1. They're on an 8-game winning streak. They lose their first game of the year to Science Hill, and they've won out since then. But talk to me a little bit about Elizabethton themselves and some of the things that you'll expect to see from them.
You know, they're going to, really similar to football teams. You turn on the film, one of my coaches joked, he said we could probably just go against our offense all week and be fine what the Elizabethton's doing. But really similar what we do on offense and defense, both sides of the ball. They got really 3 kids that are running the football, maybe 4 of them running the football really hard. They lost their quarterback against Northview a couple of weeks ago, but they stepped in with a freshman quarterback, and he's playing as good or better than the starter was. He's probably throwing the football for more yards than their starter was. So really explosive kid at quarterback. I know he's a freshman, but he spins the ball really good. Athletic kid. He's not very big, but really good talent at quarterback. They got a good offensive line, and like I said, really good run game, and they've got one of the better receivers in the region for sure.
And talk about how different it is playing on a short week, because if I remember correctly, this game was on Friday night last year.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a region championship game that you have to play on a short week now. That's not ideal per se, but you still got to work with what you're given. So how do you prepare for such a huge game with one less day to prepare?
We stepped everything up one day, kind of like we
Start
did
on Sunday
against Sevier County. We practiced last night, got our normal, what we call Monday practice was on Sunday. Then today on Monday, it'll be a normal Tuesday practice. So everything's just bumped up one day. We're going to get all the same, we're going to prepare the same way that we always do with the same amount of days, but you one less day of a rest. So that was big for us to get those starters, a little rest on Friday night. So, we're coming in, we're pretty dang healthy, which is a good thing. We got a couple guys banged up a little, but I'm sure they'll be ready to go on Friday night. But going to be a big-time opportunity for our football team. Got to make the most of it.
And then we talk about how it's for the Region 1 4A championship. We talk about how it's a short week on Thursday, 2 8-1 powerhouses that are both ranked top 10 within the state in Class 4A. But I think maybe the biggest thing that's at stake is looking at the playoff picture. Not only do you win the region and you get that 1 seed, but if you were able to win this game, I believe you get 4 straight home games throughout the playoffs. So there's a lot more at stake considering that's on the line too. So how crucial is that to be able to win this game and get home playoff advantage all the way throughout until you'd have to go to Chattanooga?
Yeah, it's big. If you start looking at different scenarios for the playoffs. You lose this game, you could have Anderson County coming to your place round 1 if, one game, depends on how a game comes. They got beat by Gibbs, and then Gibbs and Carter are playing. If Gibbs beats Carter, and then Gibbs is the number 2 seed in that region. So that put Anderson County, the 3, coming to number 2 to start the playoffs round 1.
That's not what you expect and not what you're used to.
They didn't have their starting quarterback. He's back. He broke his collarbone early in the year, and he come back, I think, last week. So he's back, and had a big win last week. So big-time matchup between Gibbs and Carter with a lot on the line. It'll be interesting how that unfolds in that region, but you won't be able to. The playoff different this year. You could be going. You win round 1, you could be going on the road to play. In Region 3 or 4 team in round 2. So you won't be at home. You won't be at home if you got an opportunity for 4 games here. You want to make the most of it. So. Really a lot on the line Friday night against, like we talked about, a really good football team. Didn't talk about, defensively they're as good as we've seen. Big up front, 2 big linebackers that both play. They got a lot of guys play both ways, as we do as well. But they probably got a few more playing both ways than we do. But going to be a big time challenge.
Absolutely, and to be able to exceed that big time challenge on Friday night and pick up a win, and not only win the Region 1 4A championship and get home playoff advantage, what are the 3 keys that you're going to have to carry out to get that victory?
In a big time game like this, the first and foremost, you got to you can't turn the football over. I think there's a good chance of some rain on Friday night, so we got to make sure, or Thursday night, we got to make sure and control that football. You can't turn it over. We've done a really good job on that, but we got to continue to do that. Key number 2 is we got to win the line of scrimmage offensively. We got to be able to run the football, especially if it's raining. They're going to load that box and challenge us to throw football, and we got an opportunity in there. We feel like we've got a really good offensive line. We've talked about it all year. Big, physical, and we got to show up and play like that on Friday. Got to win the line of scrimmage. Key number 3, defensively, you got to control they're going to be able to run the football, but they're going to come in here and try to, out formation us a little, I'd say, and run the football. You got to control that run game, and they're going to get some yardage running the football, but you can't let them be. You got to win that line of scrimmage defensively as well. And then we'll throw key number 4, special teams. You got to be good in special teams in a game like this, especially if it's wet and rainy. You got to make sure you're on top of it, and on punts. If we've not punted much this year, but in games like this, if you got to punt, you got to punt and play some defense. But got to be sharp on special teams.
And then talking about the weather conditions this week, also you mentioned how it's supposed to be wet and rainy on Thursday night. It's pretty much going to be that way the entire week. So that's kind of a benefit in a way also, as you can look ahead at the weather, and sometimes when it's not supposed to rain until game day, you can maybe do a wet ball drill, some things like that, but you can kind of practice in the condition that you'll be playing in on Friday night all week. So a little side question to end the interview here, is that kind of a benefit, playing or practicing in the rain all week, knowing that it'll probably rain on game day?
Yeah, you will get as good as live conditions as you can get, So, we'll make the most of everything this week and see how, hopefully there's no lightning in the area that we have to deal with during the week, during practice. But we're going to have to get out there and deal with it. Practice last night, it started a little, light rain at the end, but it wasn't, nothing the effect that we were able to do all our offensive stuff without rain, so it was really good. So we had really good practice, really good energy. Kids are focused and excited, which is good to see. I know the effort I'm going to get on Friday night. We just got to come out and play and try to limit the mistakes we make and play the best football we've played all year.
Yeah, this is the definition of what you would call a primetime matchup. You got Greeneville on Friday. See, it's always confusing when it's a Thursday night game, but you've got Greeneville on Thursday night hosting Elizabethton here at Burley Stadium. So come out and enjoy some football on Thursday night. It'll be for the Region 1 4A Championship. Greeneville looking to go back to back to back, as Elizabethton is looking for their first championship since 2022. So unless there's anything else you've got to add, I believe that's it.
Let's go Devils, man.
Absolutely, man.
Appreciate
Best of luck on Thursday night.
Yes, sir.
Once again, please get here early. This will probably be the one game that you do need to get here early for. We say that every week, but with Elizabethton coming into town, they travel well. You'll have more fans than usual come out for a Greeneville game, knowing that it's for the Region 1 4A Championship and it's a rivalry game with Elizabethton. So come out and support the Green Devils on Thursday night. Don't come on Friday night. Nobody will be here to let you in the gates. You'll get better parking on Friday night, but nobody will be here to let you in. But that's all we've got this week. Thank you all for watching this week's edition of the Pizza and Eddie Spradlen Show. We look forward to seeing you next time here on First Horizon's Green Sports Zone.